Hello and welcome back to the Naren Agarwal Show. I have somebody super special on with me for this episode. For those who are interested in Vedic and Indian astrology, this episode is the one for you. If you're even curious a little bit, I'm going to be a student in this episode and discover and learn what is all this about. With me, I have Mr. Alok Khandelwal, renowned astrologer. He is not just an astrologer, he has an MBA in marketing and he also has an MA in psychology. So he's not just somebody who is in the robes from the Himalayas, but he's really connected to the social world, the corporate world, at the same time practices this ancient science of Indian astrology. Today, we're going to bust a lot of myths, etc. But before that, I want to tell you a little bit more about him. He's somebody who's been practicing astrology for more than 15 years and has seen over 20,000 people. He has taught over 1,000 students in his platform called ASTTROLOK and continues to serve in the Vedic Dharma Sansthan, an offshoot of Art of Living, as a panel astrologer. I'm so excited for this conversation. Welcome, Alok sir, on board. Sir, before I get into astrology, myths around it, basic questions around it, I want to first ask you, what has your journey been? You are somebody who's done MBA, who's done an MA, and you still continue practicing astrology. A lot of people in the modern world would think this is not, modern, or this is not logical, etc. So I want to learn a little bit about your journey, how you grew up, how you got into astrology.
Oh, I born in a very small town in Madhya Pradesh named as Shupri, and then my father is an astrologer. Okay. So although like the lineage of my family is of business, but my father was he was always interested into astrology, and then he used to help people. So from my childhood, I have seen a lot of people coming to him, and then he's helping, giving them dates, and then some pariharas, also some remedies. So this is how it started. But I was never interested into astrology because I saw him struggling in managing time. So we were always struggling for our father's time, and I never thought that I will become an astrologer. But it started when I was in my post-graduation and graduation, maybe in graduation. That was the time when I started thinking about this, like when I was going through a tough time. So I used to call my father. I was living away from my family, so for studies. So I used to call him when it is going to be better. So he said, okay, it is. Since he was my father, he used to just give me next dates. Like it's going to be better soon. It is going to be better soon. So then finally I thought, okay, I should learn it because I have seen this working. My father was not telling me that what was my future. Correct. So one day I thought, okay, I should learn it. And then I started learning on myself. But finally, after a few days, maybe 7-10 days, I approached him and said, I want to learn. So he said, okay, if you want to learn, so I'll teach you. So I started with him, and then I joined one institute also, and then a lot of self-practice and self-learning happened. Wow. So the moment I entered into this science, this is something which is really, mesmerizing. You cannot get away with this. The moment you entered into this, and then you come to know that what kind of, intelligence our ancient sages had. Like the way we see things today with the help of NASA or maybe ISRO, they have written it few thousand years back. So that way, since I was also into all this, I was doing my MBA, I did my MS in psychology, I was running a business. But at the same time, this science triggered a lot of things in me, and I started becoming a better human being and started knowing myself, why I was reacting into a particular situation like this, the way I react. So this is how it started, and then finally everything is happening now. People are coming. I'm teaching also. We started Astrolog also. This is all which is happening right now. I cannot help it now.
Wow. So all of a sudden, because of this internal turmoil, you discovered yourself going back to the path of what your father practiced as helping somebody. Maybe subconsciously also you saw it as helping others, and because your father did it as growing up as a child, so maybe you thought this was a way that you could also help others if you can find remedies for them, right?
This is how it is. Like this science is for others only. When I learned it, I came to know this is not for me. The way doctor cannot treat himself, you as a Jyotishi or an astrologer cannot help much. I mean, in terms of timing the events, you can become a better human being because it is a spiritual science, but it is for others. So like whatever I have learned, I am giving it to others because otherwise I have no choice. What should I do with this?
Amazing. So great to hear that. I want to ask you very basic questions in the beginning. What is astrology?
Okay. So there are two things, right? One is astrology, one is Jyotish. These two are, we like in India, we use it interchangeably. And we think that the English meaning of Jyotish is astrology.
Okay.
Right? But it is not correct.
Okay.
So astrology is basically reading about astral bodies in the sky. Like science, through science, everybody knows there are a lot of astral bodies in the sky. We know there are few planets who are moving around sun, and then they create a lot of impact on us. Through science, it is established, right? So I need not to get into that. Jyotish is something different. Jyotish is Jyoti plus Ish. That means Jyoti is light, Ish means God, Ishwar. So when you, and then in Vedic culture, you've been taught that your soul resides in you as a Jyoti, as a light. So Jyotish is something when we try to understand the light in us and what kind of impact these bodies create on my mind, body, and soul. And Jyotishi is somebody who is basically able to understand the light or say soul in others. So these two things are entirely different, although used interchangeably. And I also say myself as an astrologer, because this is a common used word across world. But ideally it is Jyotish.
Wow. So Jyotish is somebody who sees the phenomena on how the astronomical bodies around us affect us.
Correct.
Understands that science. Wow. But for ease, we are now using the word astrology. It's not the technical translation, but it's for ease. So we just say it like that.
Yes.
In English. Got you. Great to hear that and understand that. So, sir, a natural consequential question is that do these bodies have an effect on us? A lot of people doubt it. A lot of people say, no, this is false. This is a made up thing from the past. But there are these ancient Indian scriptures and other cultures also around the world. We're specifically talking about Indian astrology right now. But a lot of these cultures believed and practiced certain methods with which they said how these bodies have an impact on us. So what is your take, and what do you tell people who say that this is all bogus and it is not true?
Okay, so I will try to give the answer in reverse order. First of all, it is a myth that only India has a Jyotish or as astrology.
Correct.
In this world, there is no culture, no religion who doesn't follow astrology. Be it Islam, be it Christianity, be it Jainism, Sikhism, Arabians, right? Denmark, everywhere, right? So, but the format or maybe some concepts are different. So we have Western astrology, we have Christian astrology, we have Jainism. Everybody uses astrology. If you search on YouTube, you will find a lot of Arabian astrology. So what is that term, Arabian astrology? Right? Right. So a lot of Muslims also follow astrology. So it is a myth that okay, this is only like we as an Indian follow this. It is not correct. In fact, when I go to other countries, the most they give you a lot of respect because you come from India, because India has got only 4 things. This is my understanding, right? One is yoga, Ayurveda, Jyotish, and IT.
That's so funny. Right? Modern world IT, but other things are coming from ancient times.
Right. These 4 things you are known for across world. Right. And these 4 people will always be welcomed by across world. Kahin bhi aap jao, anywhere you go in this world, they will actually value because that we hold that authority in this. Right?
Wow.
The second question, how these planets affects us, right? Okay, so the first planet in this zodiac is Surya, Sun. So what do you think? Sun doesn't affect you?
I think it affects our moods. Like depression is linked with
No,
sun.
Surya, Sun doesn't affect your mood. It affects your life because you are on this planet because of Sun. This planet is rolling only because of Sun, right? If there is no Surya, no sunrise, tomorrow, what we will do? Suddenly, if the Sun is disappearing from this planet, we are nowhere, right? So Surya is responsible for all the creature on this planet, Earth,
Oh.
right? And in Jyotish, we say that it is the significator of father. So can you connect this father with the creation? Right. Okay. In Jyotish, we say that moon is responsible for your mind, right? So the word mood is coming from moon. The word mood in English is actually coming from moon. Now, so if moon is responsible for my mind, moon is responsible for water also across world. Have you read it in your science or not?
High tide, low tides happen because of the change in the moon phases.
Correct. Now, we say moon is responsible for mind and moon is responsible for water. Now, what happens when you get angry? What your mother says to you? Take some water.
Take some water. Get cold. Cool down the system. Yeah.
Take some water, right? Your mother, right? The moment your breath is disturbed, what you do? Take some water. If you are feeling very fearful, what your friend will say? Calm down, take some water. That means your mind is related with water, right? And water is related with moon. So the same way we say it in Jyotish that moon is related to our mind as well as to water. These are very small things, right? So all these planets, and the other analogy which I always give is, if you are sitting in a room and a small mosquito comes, what happens? It can disturb you, right?
Correct.
What about all these big planets there? When a small mosquito can give a lot of impact on you, what about all these big planets which are revolving around us? Can they do not put any impact on us? All the culture in this world, in fact, all the sciences also, right? You must have listened, you must have heard NASA is giving a warning. There are a lot of problem coming from the sky. There can be some big stones coming to Earth. So if they can come to Earth and create a havoc in our life, when they are continuously monitoring us by revolving around sun, and Earth is also in the sky. I think everybody knows.
Right.
We are hanging in the sky, right? So these 9 people are always creating a lot of pressure on us. It is just like 9 cameras who is basically capturing everything on us, everything about us.
Wow.
This is the phenomenon.
That's a different perspective for a lot of us to grasp, because we have been educated in a very certain traditional way, and this is outside that boundary. This is a little expansive, and it makes you look at life in a different way on how actually the sun and the moon is having an impact on our life. Sir, I want to ask you about the 9 planets you mentioned, because in the Jyotish or Indian astrology, Navgraha, this is a very famous. This is the basis, right? The Navgrahas, or the 9 planets, or the 9 grahas. So what are these 9 planets that have an effect on us?
Okay. So what are the weekdays? So I in the entire conversation, I will always take you back why people believe this. Why I don't know why today people say it doesn't work. What are the weekdays?
The weekdays. So Monday or Somvar.
First is Sunday, right?
First is Sunday.
It goes to Surya. Ravivar. Have you heard about this word? Ravivar.
Ravivar is the day of the sun. Yeah.
Right. Second is Monday. Somvar. Som is the name for Chandra.
Yeah.
Right. Third is Tuesday or Mangalvar. It goes to Mars.
Okay.
Fourth is Budhvar. Goes to Budh. Wednesday.
Budh is
in Mercury.
Budhvar.
Right. Then fifth is Thursday. You call it in Hindi Guruvar.
Guruvar.
Goes to Guru, Jupiter.
Okay, Jupiter.
Right.
Okay.
Then sixth is Venus, Shukravar.
Okay.
And seventh is Saturday, Shanivar.
Okay,
Goes
that
to
is Saturn.
Right. So again, I'll take back to
In
that
Hindi,
concept.
actually, totally related. The English and the Hindi name of days are totally related. Saturday, Saturn's day, Shanivar. Okay,
Yes.
wow.
And then I am again taking you back to that concept. If you don't follow Jyotish, why you follow weekday? Who told you that today is Wednesday? These things we are never taught in our schools. That why there is Wednesday only, why today is not Thursday, why today is Wednesday. These are the things which we will teach in first class of Jyotish. Why today is Wednesday?
Wow.
You know that today is Wednesday, but you don't know why.
Yeah, so true.
Right. So these are the 7 planets, and then there are 2 planets. We call it shadow planets. In Vedic Jyotish, there are 2 planets who doesn't have body, right? Who doesn't have the physical existence. These are called Rahu Ketu, North Node, South Node. In Western Jyotish, they consider Uranus and Neptune and Pluto. Our scientists, our Rishi Munis, they are very intelligent. That they were aware at that time that Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto are so far from Earth that they cannot create a sizable impact on us. So they didn't consider it. But Western astrologer, they consider. One fine day, NASA came few years back. So have you read in your geography that Pluto is a planet?
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Before a few years, NASA came and they said, there is no planet like Pluto.
Yeah.
I mean, what's happening? I've been taught like this, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, but one fine day, the biggest agency in this world comes and say, there is no Pluto. What the hell is going on? Rishi Parashar has said it before 5,000 years.
Wow.
That there is no Pluto.
Wow.
Right. And it is written clearly that these 3 planets are there. They have a good size, but since they are so far from us, we will not consider them as a sizable impact on human bodies.
Wow. So then it is not included in astrology because it does not have an impact. So we don't discuss too much about it because it's no point discussing it.
Correct.
Wow.
So these 7 planets plus 2 Rahu Ketu, these are the Navagrahas.
They are planets without bodies, and these 9 impact us and our lives. So this is actually crazy to think about. You said someone has documented this 5,000 years ago, but at that time what we know as Western studies today didn't even have the idea that the Earth is round, or the Earth is a globe. It was thought that the Earth is flat in Western worlds. Of course, there were cultures like Mayans who were very advanced in Mexico, etc., and they had a little bit of an idea. But in India, you're saying we had names, and there is documentation of names of planets.
Everything, and he has written that it is not flat. I mean, in India, like you read your Vedas, Puranas, we have never thought of Earth as a flat. We have always thought of Earth. So what is the name of geography in Hindi?
Bhugol.
You see that?
The round.
Bhu is dharti, goal is round. So the subject is like this only, you see. The name of the subject in Hindi is Bhugol.
Yeah.
So since we've been invaded by so many people, and then we were into a bad shape around 100,000, 2,000 years, we started thinking that whatever is our culture, it is good for nothing. We've been imposed by so much of foreign culture, so much of foreign tradition, that we started believing, okay, yoga is not great, but yoga, when it comes to America, it is great. This is the problem, you see, Naren.
Interesting. So this is actually crazy to think about, that there was actual documents of names like Mangal, Shani, Brihaspati, Ravi. All these names were given to planets like Saturn and Mangal, Mars, thousands of years ago, even when there was no telescope and no one would tell us that actually the Earth is round in what we know as modern Europe. Wow. Sir, going forward, so the 9 planets have an impact on us. and this has been documented in India for a long many years. How, in some basic way, if you want to grasp, how do these 9 planets affect us? What are their effects? If someone was to just understand the basics.
Yeah. So the concept is simple. Surya shows send light to us. So there are sun rays coming to us.
Correct.
Same way, all these planets are sending rays to us, and we are absorbing. Right. So that is the reason they create an impact on our mind, body, soul. Since Surya has light, Chandra has light. Surya, sun and moon, they have got light. It is a visible thing that, okay, when in the night Chandra is coming, so there is a night light. In the day when Surya is coming or sun is coming, there is a daylight. But all these planets have rays. This is called Rashmi.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So this is one. Second is, even the science, medical science also know that we are made up of 5 elements, right?
Correct.
And the entire world is made of 5 elements.
The Panchatattvas. The
Panch Mahabhutas.
Yes.
Right? And what these planet does, they control one element. So Venus and Chandra, Venus and Moon, they control the water element. Right? So Moon I have already explained. Right? Venus has got, if Chandra is the water of sea, Venus is the water of a river, which is drinkable, right? So it is significator of relationship in us, lust, relationship. The way you must have seen in Bollywood movies, that the moment they start making love, there is rain coming. How water is related with romance? Did you ever thought about?
That's so interesting. Actually, rain is romance weather for a lot of people. Right.
Yeah. So they will sing like "Lagi aaj sawan ki fir wo jadi hai." So what is sawan? I mean that rainy month.
Yeah.
So what is the connection between rains and romance? Nobody thought about this.
Yeah. Wow.
You see what I'm saying? So these 2 planets control these elements. Then Sun and Mars. These 2 planets control fire element. So everybody can see the fire of Sun. But if you see the Mars in the sky also, it is red.
Yes. Yes.
Right? So these 2 planets will control fire in us.
Okay.
Then Jupiter. So Jupiter is ether. It is all sky element. Right? And then there is Saturn. So Saturn is Vayu Tattva.
Vayu.
Air element.
Air element.
Air element. Right? And then the last one is Mercury, which is called Earth element. Now, if you see, you have got water inside.
Yes.
Okay. You have got fire inside.
Yes.
Because of fire, the entire Ayurveda is based on fire, right? So your digestion system, your Kamagni, Madagni, all that fire, because of that you move, this comes from fire, right? So you have got fire inside. Then you have got water. Then you have got air also, you are breathing. Right? And then you have got that earth element also, because of this, me and you are sitting.
The matter, the earth, the food that we eat becomes earth and flesh and bones. Exactly.
Right. And then that gravity also, for which because of that we are sitting.
Correct.
And then I think since you also come from a spiritual background, you also understand that we have got that ether. The Correct. Entire body is hollow.
That space that contains everything.
Right.
Exactly.
So I also and Narendra also is made up of these 5 elements. And these 5 elements are controlled by these 9 planets. 7 plus 2. So Rahu controls Vayu, Ketu controls fire. Right. So when I have got Rahu, I have got Jupiter, I have got Mercury in me. So my earth element reports to Mercury there. So I am basically I am generating a communication with Mercury there. That is the reason when they move in the sky, it creates an impact on us. It not only creates an impact on our body, but they can actually influence our mind and soul as well. Wow. Have you ever thought from where any thought is coming in your mind? So we always say like this, right? that I've thought, I think of something and then I started doing that, right? But have you ever inquired why a particular thought is popping up? This is the job of the planet. Any thought which is coming in your mind is a reaction of these 5 elements in you. And that's why this impact of planet is so strong, so strong, because they are the giver of thought. And we are just, so we get a lot of thoughts, right? Every day we get a lot of thoughts. And out of these thoughts, either I will pick some good thought or bad thought and I start reacting on that. So who is more powerful? Me, who is reacting on thought, or somebody who is putting that thought in my mind?
Wow. So this is very interesting for me, because I can connect a lot of dots from another end. So you're saying that we have 5 elements, and actually this is true, that there's 5 elements that's making the whole universe up. It's a play of 5 elements. Earth, then it becomes a little subtler, becomes water, which becomes a little subtler, becomes air, which becomes a little subtler, becomes water becomes fire, a little more subtle in our experience, and then it becomes more subtle, becomes air, and that becomes even more subtle outside our grasp, and that's the vacuum or the ether or the space that everything contains. And you're saying these 9 planets impact the 5 elements, and
control
some planets
control the 5
element, and their reverberance, their rashmi, or this wave they are sending that is not seen by the eyes, or some people would say energetic reverberation. It only shows that how interconnected the universe is, and this is about understanding the interconnectedness of universe, and that how we are all one and all together. Everything is impacting each other, which quantum physics would also agree right now. Everything has an equal and opposite reaction across the universe.
That's what I'm saying. When quantum physics says, everybody of us say, okay, yes, if quantum physics is saying, that must be correct.
Yeah.
But that is, said thousands of years back.
Wow. So these, what's interesting to me is I have learned in yoga and other places ashrams that I've been to, that a yogi or a master is somebody who's mastering the 5 elements within themselves. Because once you master the 5 elements within yourself, that's known as a siddhi. Or the idea of a lot of yoga, or drinking water from a pure place, whether it's Zamzam or from Gangotri, is the idea to purify the water element within you. Or doing a mud bath in Ayurveda is to reconnect with the earth element within you. Or taking a fire bath makes you feel good. It's to purify and cleanse the element within you. So ultimately, we are also working to cleanse the element. And you're saying these planets also have an impact on the element of us, within us.
See, why you feel good after doing this. So what is the entire spiritual practice? Like you mentioned yoga and dhyan and everything. So when you are in control of these elements, the bad thought given by these planets, they are vanished. So if the bad thought is not coming, either through a fear or maybe an actionable item, I am spared of my bad karma, and then that is the reason yogi will live longer. They will always be happy. They will say, okay, there are a lot of things going on in my life, but I'm still staying happy. How is this happening? Because they are basically trying to manage an equilibrium between these 5 elements. And this is the basis of entire spiritual practices of across world.
Wow. So working with the 5 elements within us, and these planets are controlling, and they are the thought givers. But if we master the 5 elements within us, we can try and be less reactive and more responsive to these impacts and occurrences happening to us externally.
Correct.
Wow. So that is amazing. That was a great connection that I had, and connection of a lot of dots in my head that I had learned from certain places. But this is a very different way of looking at the world in the modern era. A lot of people, they won't understand how these elements impact us. But I, like, some basic examples is that I really agree that mastering these elements makes you feel much lighter. Walking barefoot on earth every day as a practice has made me so much happier, because And now in modern science, it's called as grounding or earthing.
Correct.
Or why taking multiple baths, taking a shower only itself relaxes you in some way. Even you have a lot of stress and tension. I just come back from work, just take a shower, and it relaxes us in a certain way. And really, these elements have such a big impact on us and play with us. Sir, um, what planet should we be most fearful of? What is the most dangerous planet, and what is the friendliest planet, if I were to ask?
So basically, there is the concept is like that there is no planet who is extremely auspicious, and there is no planet who is extremely bad. So all these are our teachers, 9 of them. But the way a teacher can be a very polite teacher and a very strict teacher. Somebody will like work with you always, like if you are making mistake, okay, he will say, okay, Naren, I'll do it again for you. So the most auspicious planet like this is Jupiter, Guru, right? That is the reason we worship Guru in India, because that is the biggest protection. Science also justify this, that Jupiter is the biggest protector of Earth, right? Because all the unwanted element which is trying to get into Earth is basically stopped by Jupiter in the sky. So the most auspicious planet for all human beings are Jupiter. Whereas since we are spiritual beings having a materialistic experience on this planet, we are here to basically get rid of our karmas, right? And again, Naren, everybody in this entire world consider this karma theory, not only India.
Yeah.
Right? In fact, we modern Indians are the least believer in karma theory.
Yeah.
Least. If you go to Europe, you go to US, every third or fourth sentence they will be using this karma theory. Right? So, since I don't know what karma I have done in my last birth, Saturn's job is to basically make me aware of my good karma and bad karma, and just settle my account for this birth, so that I can go back as a better human being. Then I'll come back, and everybody wants to go to the mukti part, right? So the moksha. So when Saturn is clearing this account, obviously this audit is very difficult. Because as a human, I don't know what Naren has done in the last birth. Maybe you must have killed somebody. I don't know. So if you must have killed somebody, you have to pay in this birth. Because all the religions, they believe that when you go in the heaven, so I don't know whether there is a thing called heaven or not. But anyways, when you leave your body and your soul leave your body, there is no body, right? So you cannot experience anything. So for experience, you need a body. And for getting a body, you have to go to the Prithvi Tattva, Prithvi, Earth. So that is the reason we come back again, right? So these two planets, Saturn becomes very difficult to handle because it is basically giving us back what we have done. So people are very fearful about Saturn, but it is not that much fearful. It is giving you back what you have given to the nature. And nobody likes it. You see?
Interesting. So for those who are not familiar, I just want to summarize what this idea of birth and death is. In India, there's this concept of the cycle of birth and death. So you have a previous life, you have this life, and then you might have a future life. And karma is basically an account or a bag of all your actions. Karma means action. So the type of action that you've performed is a type of fruit that you will bear. The type of seed you've sown is a type of fruit that will come out. So the idea of what sir is saying is that Saturn is kind of that auditor. That's the energy that, or whatever the vibration Saturn sends, that it brings out those positive and negative aspects of all the karmas that have been done, so that we can work out the audit or work out the accounts of our previous birth. So that's the concept of birth and death. You don't have to believe in it, but I would just say that in this conversation, just flow with us, and maybe this is something that you're hearing for the first time, but it would be curious to just continue listening. Awesome. Sir, when someone comes to you and they want to get reading done for themselves, um, what are the basic requirements? So now we've understood a little bit of the big picture of astrology, how these elements have impact, but then comes the subjective aspect of it. If I want to understand how it impacts me personally, what are the basic things that you need to read someone's horoscope or tell them how the situation of planets are in their life?
So we don't need much information. We need your landing time. That's it. So
Landing time.
we'll take your date of birth time, and birthplace.
Date
Right?
of birth, birth time, and birthplace. Okay.
So when you arrived on this planet, where you crashed, right, and the time of your crash landing. This is the thing which we read. And then we create a chart according to this. Because when you were born, there was a particular planetary position in the sky, right?
Yes.
So maybe Surya is somewhere else, maybe Jupiter is transiting in the orbit somewhere else. So that is the way we create a chart. So that chart is your first photograph, right? And since you have not done any karma, you have just landed, you have not done any karma, but we predict the entire future on the basis of that chart. And the method of creating that chart, mathematical methods of creating that chart, and lot of calculations, multiple calculations are given in our shastras. And it is all astronomical, right? That okay, when I took birth, Mercury was there in the sky. NASA will also confirm that Mercury was there.
Correct.
Right? So this is the angle
Yeah.
and Mercury is creating. So on that basis, we create a Vedic chart or natal chart, you call it. And then on that basis, we predict according to your Desh, Kal, Paristiti. I mean, the country in you live in, the time in me and you are meeting, and what is the conditions.
Wow.
Because these three things can change according to the situation. So maybe if you are living in India, gay marriage is a problem, right? But in Netherlands, it's not a problem.
Correct.
It's not a taboo, I would say. Problem here also, it is not a problem now. Correct. But it's not a taboo. Right? Correct. So that way we give predictions.
Wow, very interesting. Sir, amazing. Like I'm learning so much. Great.
ठीक जा रहा है?
मस्त जा रहा है सर. क्या बोल रहे हो आप? Amazing जा रहा है. Okay, great. So sir, you need three things: the time, the place, and the
date of birth, birth time, birthplace.
Birth time, date of birth, and birthplace. Now, sir, some people would have this question that I have been born in Kolkata. Someone else is also born in Kolkata. So location is pretty much the same. Day is the same. And let's say time is also the same. Then would we have absolutely same charts and then absolutely same future?
So again, the karma theory comes into the picture.
Correct.
So for example, me and you are born on the same time, at the same time, but our parents are different.
Correct.
So that prarabdha, sanchit and karma, which we are carrying from the last birth, can be different. One thing. So for example, if you are born into a non-vegetarian family, non-veg eating is normal to you. But if I am born in a vegetarian, strictly vegetarian without onion family, it can be a criminal act if I go and eat non-veg.
Correct.
Maybe because we are born on the same time, I can be interested into that. But because of my sanskara, of my DNA, which is coming, because of my prarabdha and sanchit, my taste and preferences and your taste and preferences can be a little different.
Wow.
Second point is, we do not create only one chart. For a person, we basically construct around 60 charts.
60?
Yes. So all the aspect of your life, you have a separate chart. So marriage is a separate chart. Siblings is a separate chart. Career is a separate chart. Your overall well-being is a separate chart. And then finally, the smallest is your karma. So karma chart, that comes around 1 minute chart, right? So that way, it looks that me and you can be can take birth at the same time. But if there is a difference of seconds or maybe a minute, then the entire thing changes. This is a classical question.
Seconds.
Yes, this is a classical question asked to us in terms of like twins, right? That twins are born at the same time. Maybe that could be your next question also. So your smile is like, so twins can born with the same father and mother at the almost same time, but no twins take birth at the same time. At least there is a difference of minimum 2 to 3 minutes, right? When you like take that another baby out of mother's womb. So that way, the representation of karma changes.
Wow. So you're saying 60 charts. So you're saying back in the day, these Rishi Munis or these sages from India, they literally worked out a whole method to create 60 charts on different aspects of one's life based on the time and place and date of birth. And they literally did all these mathematical calculations.
It is written. It is not something which we are thinking of that he must have done this. They have given us a calculation. And I am talking about only one technique, 60 chart in one technique. There are more than 10 techniques like this.
Wow. Sir, and these texts, what are the name of these texts?
So the biggest text, like in Hindu, we have Gita, right? In Jyotish, we have got Brahat Parashar Hora Shastra.
Brahat Parashar Hora Shastra. What is
narrated by Rishi Parashar.
Rishi Parashar, okay.
Right. And then there are more than 10 other classics, Shastras. So this is the prime important Shastra, Brahat Parashar Hora Shastra. And then there are other Shastras also. This is like which is related with human beings. Right? Hora, the English word hour comes from Hora.
Okay.
So Hora is time. Hour is time, right?
Yeah.
So the calculation of time and estimation of impact of time on human beings is called Hora Shastra. But there are other Shastras also in Jyotish, like we can see whether there is an earthquake coming, how will be the rains this year. So this is more on the mundane level. On the macro level, how will be economy this year, whether there will be enough rains or maybe enough fire, is there a world war coming, like concept like corona and all these. This is called Samhita or mundane astrology, Madani Jyotish.
Okay.
So one is impact on the human beings, other is the impact of the environment or maybe the nature on us.
Wow, this is too phenomenal and crazy to think about. Sir, and how old are these texts about? What do they say?
So Brahat Parashar Hora Shastra is around 5,000 years.
5,000 years old.
And let me tell you one thing. In Brahat Parashar Hora Shastra also, Rishi Parashar has said few times that it is written in the older books. So the recent available text is Brahat Parashar Hora Shastra, which is 5,000 years.
Oh my God. I can't believe I didn't know this, that we have texts from 5,000 years old talking about planetary positions and specific planetary positions mentioned in them. I didn't know this in 25 years of my life.
So I tell you one thing. So Ramayana or Lord Rama is much older, right? He was born in Satyug. So there is a shloka in Valmiki Ramayana which says that Rama was born into Navami Tithi, Chaitra Mas, and he has got 5 planets into Swarashi or Uchcham. I mean, this is a technical word, but in Ramayana there is a mention of planets Tithi. Tithi is a relationship between Surya and Chandra, the difference, angle, degree angle, right? So in Ramayana it is mentioned, in Vedas it is mentioned. So I don't know how old this is, but the scripture or the text which we right now follow in India is Brihadarashara Shastra, which is 5,000 years.
Oh my goodness.
So Naren, in India, 2,000, 3,000 years is nothing, you see. It is
Recent
new.
history. It's recent history for us.
Yes, it's new.
1,000-year-old was recent history. Wow, this culture has so much depth and tradition. I mean, it's unbelievable. I can't imagine just hearing this from you. 5,000-year-old text talking about degrees and angles of planetary positions. So, like, literally, there are names of planets in these 5,000-year-old text.
Yes, yes.
Planets are named.
Everything.
Guys, can you believe this? I mean,
I tell you one thing.
it's a name for a planet 5,000 years ago.
I tell you one thing. How you come to know that there will be an eclipse maybe after 10 days? Who tells you that?
I mean, these space organizations tell us.
The space organization,
yeah.
Right? So I'm talking about today. So we have got this term called Panchanga.
Yeah.
So you will find the exact timing of the next 100 years eclipse, exact timing in this Panchanga. Same time NASA or ISRO will give, it is written for 100 years. Same time, everything, it will be visible in India, maybe in Spain, what is the kind of impact, it is good, bad, everything. So it is nothing. What this NASA or ISRO is doing, they are also calculating, right? And we have got tools to calculate. Same. And I tell you one thing, there is since we cannot come up with these things, right, openly, but if you talk to any scientist who is a little older in India, maybe born in 1920, sort of,
Correct.
No more now. If you talk to their family, they will tell that, okay, all the space scientists, they somehow end up believing in astrology. Because they have to take references from our Shastras.
Very interesting. Wow.
And we have read a lot of stories like this, right? That all the space organization, they are reading Vedas and then taking references, and then Matrix movie is created from Yoga Vasishtha. What is this? I mean, they all take these kind of, so knowledge sharing is always, acceptable across world, right? Everybody wants to take others' knowledge and share it and basically present it in their way.
Wow. So, but I see this also this big movement and drive to shun anything Indian, or like if somebody says that, our Shastra says this, other people, there's a whole group of people saying that, oh, you're just like, a bhakt or a believer, just a blind believer of, Indian, ancient Indian heritage. And there's this whole movement to almost shun down the history that we've had and the heritage that we've had, which is a shame. But I also think a lot of people are adopting, and people are becoming open to learning what is this about, and there is curiosity.
So it is all opening. I mean, I'll give you a small example, right? So I teach students, right? So I have just started a new batch. So the minimum age, like the smallest student is around 15 years. Girl of 15 years. And the eldest is around 75. And in this batch, there are IITians, there are scientists, there are allopathy doctors, IS officers, so many software engineers, people from around 40 countries, right? All young. So there are a lot of people who are now getting interested into this, not only in India, across world, because finally people now they are realizing that there are something which is beyond intellect. When things doesn't go the way we want to do them, Then we started thinking, oh, I mean, I've been taught like 2 plus 2 is 4. This time it is not happening. What's happening now?
Correct.
So then you need some help, right? Some guidance. That is the reason Jyotish was always there, and it will be always there on this planet till human race exist. Because at those moments, you need some light, you need some guidance. Lot of people, Naren, of your age, they are like reading seriously, and then these people who are IITians and then engineers, they want to use AI into all this software. They want to basically create a lot of mathematical things. They are getting into mathematics. They are trying to understand this, that okay, if this is happening, why? So they are just trying to create softwares out of these things, which is a very great thing.
Correct.
Because the problem with India, which you were saying, is we were poor in transfer of knowledge. We don't create a system, right? And then and transfer it to the next generation. We want to keep it up to ourselves. So if I have got some siddhi or maybe some knowledge, I would like to keep it to myself, or maybe I just wanted to give it to my daughter. So that is the problem, that we lost all these things, isn't it?
Wow. So this is too phenomenal. Amazing to hear from you. What I want to talk about, sir, is that you talked about eclipse. So there is this idea of auspicious times or auspicious times, etc. What is your take on it? And is there such a time that is sometimes auspicious and other time is inauspicious?
Yes. So this is called Mahurata, right? For example, you want to do a right thing at a wrong time. So your wife or maybe your girlfriend is furious, and you want to say I love you at that time. What will happen?
Might not be received well.
Yeah. So what you are doing, you are, or maybe you want to ask for something from your father, and he is not in a good mood. You are asking for a justifying thing, which is good for the family. What will happen to that demand?
Will be rejected. Yeah.
Fully rejected, right? That means what? When we do the right thing at a wrong time, then also the desired result will not come.
Wow.
Right? So what is important? I do a right thing at the right time. This is why you say when Saurav Ganguly off drive, it is right thing at the right timing. So the effort is zero. So when Sachin Tendulkar hit a cover drive, the effort is zero because he has used the timing.
Perfect timing, yeah.
Perfect time, right? Same way, if you, for anything in this world, right? The perfect timing is very important. That's why Mahurata is very important. And because of all these cosmic things which is happening, there are certain impression at a particular time, good or bad. So we should use, as an intelligent person, we should use these timings. Because the job of Mahurata or auspicious timing is to reduce effort in our life. So when we do the right thing at the right time, our effort is decreased, right? And I am a very lazy person, you know, Naren. So I would like to decrease my effort. Okay.
Wow,
so
this is
important. Yes, it is important.
So, what are some times that we should be watchful of? We should like avoid, and sometimes that are really good to do certain good and fresh things.
So there are so many, but there is a term called Rahu kalam.
Rahu kalam, yes.
Right. So so we have 7 weekdays, 7 planets.
Yes.
But we have no weekday for no day for Rahu Ketu.
Correct.
Right. So what we have decided. So and this is calculation, right? Mathematical calculation. So they have decided that 1.5 hours per day is Rahu time. So Rahu, since it is hallucination, it is non-existent, like no body. So at that time, you can have hallucination, or maybe you can make mistakes because of confusion. So we don't start anything during that time. And every day it is fixed. Right? and it is basically depending upon the sunrise. So it is a mathematical calculation.
Wow.
So you can find it online. So that is the time when we would not like to start something new, because when you are doing something with a lot of ambiguity, you ensure that it doesn't going to give you the result, right? So you need to do it again. So to avoid that confusion or maybe ambiguity and hallucination, this is a time when we should avoid starting something new. Because the first step which you are getting into something, with which you are getting into something, if that step you are not very confident or clear, the entire journey is going to be futile, right? So like this, there are few timings, and then the good timings, there can be a lot of, there is like many calculations. So you must, in India, it is a country of festivals, right? So you will say, okay, today is Guru Pushya Nakshatra, you buy something. Today is Deepavali, so you buy something, you can do anything. You have got Akshaya Tritiya, so you go and buy everything, you can start anything. So auspicious times there are a lot of auspicious timing. And in every day also there are a lot of auspicious timing. But these are some time when this is the time when the energy is not clean, because Rahu eclipse sun, right? So the energy of Surya is not very clear. These are the time when we should chant, we should meditate, we should limit ourselves to our own self.
Okay. So the Rahu Kalam is the time that the Rahu, without its physical body, is eclipsing the sun. So the sun.
No, it is not that way. It is a mathematical calculation where the impact of the Rahu is higher on the planet Earth.
Got you. Got you. Nice. Wow. Sir, I want to talk to you about the business of astrology. It has grown because people more want to get guidance and remedies, etc., etc. So there's also a lot of people who have come up who actually don't understand this science, and they're just trying to make money, faking. And this is the large impression, right, that all these astrologers, that's what people say, like they paint everybody with the same brush and say ki ye sare astrologers, they're not true, they're all saying false things. So what is your take on that? How can one make sure that they are seeking from someone who understands the science behind it?
So I think you are correct. I mean, lately the image of this science, because of some people, it is like that. Okay, they are making us fool, or they are basically generating a lot of money. So my take on this is, first, this is not business, right? This is so in Sanskrit we call Jyotishi, the name of Jyotishi is Devagya, or you call it Devagna, somebody who is near to the god, right? So on sitting, like while sitting on this position, if you are going to cheat somebody, it is 2 times of a normal wrong deed. But in every profession, you take any profession in this world, there are good people, there are bad people. For example, you take doctors, they're good doctors, they are bad doctors. Every day we are listening stories, right? But this is a cumulative impact of people who are not very educated. They study some 1-2 book and then start saying something about you. Maybe, okay, if your nose is like this, your nature is like this, and that way. These are the people who are not professionally trained, or neither they have a tradition, or they are not professionally trained into a classroom. They create problem, and they create problem in all the profession. For example, if I started treating people through allopathy, I can kill a lot of people because I'm not professionally trained.
Correct.
So obviously government needs to do something in this direction, that they need to recognize it and then start giving degrees and everything, so that we can actually re-establish. Although there are a lot of young, as I told you, there are a lot of young, talented and very, very educated people who are coming into this domain. And when people like you, people like a lot of people who are earning money through some other profession, when they they say something, they are doing it out of seva. They're doing it as if it is service because they're being fairly paid in their jobs or business, right? So I think it is improving. In the last few years, it has improved a lot. But in the last few years, there are a lot of marketing activities also happening in this. Now the issue is there will be a need, there is a need, and it is always going to stay. Because human mind, either they will be remorseless about the past, they are either need improvement in the present, or they are excited about the future, or maybe worried about the future.
Wow.
And we address these three things. So Jyotish is going to stay, come what may, right? I think a lot of changes are coming, and new people, new students who are very educated are coming. It is going to change very soon. Very soon.
That's amazing to hear, sir. So one last and final question I have for you. It's been so entertaining for the listeners, I'm sure. But everybody might have this thought that, okay, like something might be off on my charts, and everybody has that. There's no perfect chart, as they say. And there are remedies. There are remedies that you say that if you could do this, maybe this will help lessen the impact of a certain planetary position or a certain planetal impact. So what are some remedies that you recommend as basic remedies in general for people? And what's the best of them all?
Oh yes, there are a lot of other remedies which was there are a lot of remedies which were there, which we used to do. Every human being used to do in the recent, I mean, in the tradition. So if you are a Hindu, then Gayatri mantra is the mantra of Hinduism, right? And this mantra goes to Lord Sun, and Surya is the significator of life in this planet. So if you are initiated, this mantra will give you a lot of fitness. Your intellect will be in the right direction. Your body will be always healthy. This is one. And then we say in the mythology, so Jyotish has two aspects. One is mythological, and then the other is technical, right? Mathematical. So in mythology, we say Lord Shiva has positioned these planets as planet, right? They were characters, like Rahu was a character, Mars was a character. So they all worship Lord Shiva, and then Lord Shiva blessed them with a position of the planet and bless them that, okay, you will always create an impact on human lives. So Om Namah Shivaya is the mantra which anybody or everybody should do, because if I have a connection with the boss, the subordinate cannot basically create a lot of problem in my life. Right? If you are not a Hindu, then as we discussed, maintaining the 5 elements through Ayurveda, through physical fitness, through mental fitness, and consuming the right kind of food which creates a harmony in these elements, right? That can give you a lot of relief, and at least, see, we cannot change the destiny of the person. If I can change the destiny of the person, the entire objective of Jyotish is finished, right? For example, and you also cannot, right? We cannot change the destiny. What we can do, so we can give them more power to handle situation with a smile. Right? So these things like consuming the right food according to the planets. So there is food according to the planets. There are exercise, yogas, pranayam according to the planet, right? And then Ayurveda herbs according to the planets. So if so like youth doesn't want to go on this mantra japam and then all this format. So what I normally do is I will suggest, okay, you can have orange juice. I know it will make your Jupiter strong, but I cannot tell him, a boy of 14 years, 15 years, he doesn't listen to anybody, right? So this consumption of foods and herbs can also improve the bad impact of the planet and increase the quality of good planets. So that way we use these tricks. Specifically when you go international and then the religions are different, it is really difficult to tell them to do Om Namah Shivaya or maybe go for a Rudram. So we have to go on the body part and the food part and color therapy.
Wow. So this has been so amazing, so interesting. Probably will do a part 2 with you, diving deeper into this. This is amazing. I learned so much. It was amazing. Thank you so much, sir, for your time, for your insights. Absolutely loved this conversation with you. Anything else you want to say in the end?
Thank you very much for calling me. I hope your audience will like it. And then my objective is very clear. More and more people start reading this, right? So thanks again, Naren. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Namaskar.
Namaskar.